I'd now like to introduce Joel Dinkin, the Chief Executive Officer of the Evelyn Rubenstein JCC of Houston, Texas. A fun fact about Joel is that many of you may not know is that when he was a freshman in college, he had a beard and hair down to his shoulders.
You what?
He did what? He appeared what?
Beard and hair down to his shoulders.
Oh, okay.
Little different look today. Probably one of the most influential people in his career has been Buddy Sapolsky growing up at the J in Pittsburgh. Tonight, Joel will present the Friday Night Lights Initiative, a non-traditional setting of Shabbat celebration throughout the community. And with that, I'd like to share this quote from Eugene Peterson. If you keep the Sabbath, you start to see creation not as somewhere to get away from your ordinary life, but a place to frame an attentiveness to your life. So with that, Joel, take it away.
Thank you. L'cha dodi l'krat kala p'nei Shabbat nekabbalah. Many feel that L'cha dodi is a centerpiece of the Shabbat evening service, the refrain which symbolizes the inviting of the Sabbath bride and extols everyone to greet and welcome Shabbat. That is what Friday Night Lights is all about, an opportunity to welcome Shabbat as part of a community. Friday Night Lights was created as a way to invite people to not just come together as part of a community, but to expand what it means to observe and celebrate Shabbat. It is multi-generational. It brings people together to share and experience Shabbat as part of a larger community. So let's understand the program concept. One, it's a public space experience in a restaurant with a private room that can provide a fish or vegetarian option. We intentionally limit the number of participants to be able to provide an intimate setting. Friday Night Lights begins with the Devar Torah and it includes all of the different community blessings. And each program, each evening, contains a different Jewish program element. And we utilize artists, speakers, films, comedians that are in Houston for one of our events. The program can be easily replicated. And with your support, we hope in Houston geographically that we can expand our reach. Friday Night Lights is part of a series of Jewish engagement programs that the ERJCC provides that take place in the community on Shabbat and on Jewish holidays. We ask and continually ask ourselves the question about how do we create Jewish engagement and Jewish identity. Friday Night Lights is a program that connects to Jewish life. Friday Night Lights is a very easy program to replicate in Houston and other communities. If the J is already in the Shabbat space, you could fund $25,000 per community that could underwrite 15 different experiences that could attract over 700 people. If the community is not currently in the Shabbat space, but has a genuine interest and desire to get there, I would ask your consideration to support Jewish thought leaders to enable communities to explore and construct their Jewish engagement vision. A few quick quotes. Thank you so much for the wonderful, enjoyable Shabbat evening. I came by myself, and now I feel I've made 12 friends. To summarize, Friday Night Lights is part of an overall Jewish engagement strategy. It's a public space experience. It provides a sense of belonging and expands what it means to observe in the Shabbat and to celebrate Shabbat. In closing, as a CEO, I consider myself very fortunate that I have a very wonderful staff. Friday Night Lights was created by two very talented program staff professionals, Amy Romani, Director of our Arts and Culture Program, and Rabbi Samantha Safran, Director of the Bobby and Vic Samuel Center for Jewish Living and Learning. They deserve all the credit and the accolades. My role is to stay out of the way. And while I have the floor and while I have the mic, I would be remiss in my duties as a CEO to not at least put on the table for your consideration that RJ is in the middle of a significant capital and RJ is in the middle of a significant capital and program endowment. Keep in mind the damage that Hurricane Harvey did in Houston a number of years ago. We have a $50 million initiative, of which in the last 8 months we've raised $35 million. And if you would like an opportunity to hear more about have a conversation with you about our vision, our project goals, and the way that you can be involved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jay.
I missed or you didn't talk about it, how do you recruit the people to participate?
We actually have no problem. We put it out on social media. We are at capacity 2-3 weeks before each of the events.
What's the capacity?
We've limited it to 60, and most of that's a function of finding a restaurant that is in a public, finding a restaurant that has a private room that can meet some of the flexible kosher dietary needs.
So, okay, so one last question on it then. Is each one of these staffed by one of your, or is it
Yes,
holistic,
no, we use our
organic?
staff. I have, fortunately, I have a few rabbis on my staff, and they help facilitate the program.
So at each one of these is a JCC staff member?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Because we use it as an opportunity to engage and get to know people, develops relationships.
Okay. And the age? I'm sorry, the age?
Age is actually, we've had people from the 30s to the 80s, and we're starting in the spring an opportunity for targeting people just in the 20s and 30s. And so we're finding this balance because younger people want to eat later, older people want to eat earlier. So there's...
So you can use one staff member for two?
Yeah, so having some of that dynamic. Jenny, Stephen?
So how much does it cost you a year to run it?
About 25,000.
And how many people different individuals do you touch a year through it? And how much is repeat business?
So I'm not sure, I can't answer the question how much is repeat business. We'll do about 60 per night. So we've been somewhere between 500 and 600 people we touched last year.
So it's one a week, or it's all
It's
across
about
town?
It's about one a month, one every 6 weeks,
And it's one?
one.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Got it.
And I think in part, Jeannie, I think when you do this kind of programming, first of all, it's a tax on the staff because it does it's a Friday night experience and away from the family. And you also want to keep it special.
So is there a waiting list?
We actually we do close it out. And once the registration fills up for that night, it's closed out.
So each person pays for themselves?
It's been partially subsidized by a donor in the towns because we wanted to make it affordable. Because if you eat out in a public restaurant, it's expensive. So I have a few donors who were able to help with the cost.
So you don't know what your waiting list actually is?
Do not know what the waiting list actually is, no.
And what's the, is there what does success look like to you?
What does success look like to me? When people want to come and they want to, I think when you see the combination of people who say to you, if it wasn't for tonight to be home alone, or the dynamic, Jay, where people come with small groups, so instead of eating in their home, they want to come to be part of a community. And it gives us a chance to network and connect to people, and they feel connected to the center. And I think it also is making a statement that there's lots of ways to celebrate Shabbat and an experience as part of the community, and they're doing it through the JCC.
And have you partnered at all with some of the other organizations that are doing Shabbat-based programming, like One Table or Mush House or
We have
any
not.
of the others?
We have not.
And do you know how many people you converted as customers?
Oh,
I assume you mean converted because they're getting involved in other kinds of programs and activities?
Yeah.
Anecdotally, yes, but I don't have the specific numbers.
Do you have a sense of numbers?
What we see, Stephen, is people who, we use an opportunity to connect to families. So recently we've had families who we've been able to network into our summer camp program because, again, these are restaurants that are not around the center. We choose them specifically in far the geographic areas, so it will bring people in from those neighborhoods, and that's part of the strategy as well.
Do you have any sense of how it affects intermarried families, interfaith families,
No,
rather?
we don't. It's, our Jewish engagement program is just one big tent, and people, opt in as they see fit.
so let's, do children participate?
I'm sorry?
Do children
No.
participate? So
No.
this is for,
We do, Jay,
so they
program.
they stay at home?
Yeah, this is for adults, but we do programming for families on Shabbat, both Erev Shabbat as well as Shabbat morning. We have a separate program called Mishpacha and Me, which is for families with children under the age of 5. To do similar kind of programming, but this is an adult-only experience.
Okay, thank you, Joel. Do you have something that you'd like to say in a final moment?
Other than your capital campaign?
Other than the capital campaign? Well,
We've heard that
it does have a program endowment component to it as well. No, I guess what I would say is that this is not a program where you can just start. I mean, I think that a community needs to have a strategy in place and an understanding about the values and what it wants to accomplish. And that this, again, this is a program that fits as part of our overall engagement strategy on Shabbat and Jewish holidays. Great. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Joel.